Hello, I initially recorded this video last night to edit it in the morning, but it turned out I had an audio error. So we're going to do it all again. It's now Wednesday, the 17th of September. Let's go ahead, kick off the first entry into the Fitness Journey series. I want this first entry to be like a proper deep dive into my history with exercise, sports, fitness, and general health, where I've been with it, where I'm at with it now, and where I'm headed. This is probably going to be a long one, so I've already gone ahead and divided the video into sections. So if you look at the video runtime, that should be separated into different sections, so you can just click onto what topic actually interests you. You don't need to watch the full thing. I know this is going to be a bit of a lengthy one. As a kid, I wouldn't say I was especially athletic, but I wasn't inactive either. I think the big difference there is that being active was not part of a regular routine for me. So for a while, from childhood to about the middle of my teen years, I really discounted myself and told myself that I wasn't an athletic person, even that I couldn't be an athletic person. And the reason for that is not even based in physical performance or habit, because as we're going to get into later, I was way more physically capable than I ever gave myself credit for. But this doubt, this harshness, was mostly based in aesthetics and appearances, but we'll get into all of that a bit more later. So if we look at my history with fitness and exercise, it began first and foremost with swimming. For as long as I can remember, my dad would take me to lakes, rivers, local pools, beaches, really any body of water we could swim in. My dad would be there with me. He taught me to swim. He'd later have me join a swim club. I'd go on to love and enjoy kayaking, canoeing, paddleboarding. And then still early on, I think about the age of 5, I was part of a rugby team. Look, there he is, there's little baby me with his little tiny trophy. And later on, maybe 7 or so years old, 6 or 7, I did judo. I can't remember how long judo lasted. Definitely from a young age as well, I had a bike and I'd be out cycling with friends after school nearly every day. There was this woodland nearby, and that'd be it. You'd go through school, you'd go home, you'd get on your bike, you'd meet up outside the school gates, and then that was it. You were cycling, and we'd go into this nearby woodland and just do laps around there. I remember in primary school, I didn't just like PE, I would look forward to PE, which is a big difference in high school. But back in primary, I'd look forward to physical education, as long as it wasn't football, and we'll come back to football later. If we fast forward to high school, by this point, age 14, I'd joined the Air Cadets. Now I'd got more into adventure sports and being outdoors. I was going hiking, camping, rock climbing and abseiling. Gorge walking, loved that. It was also less athletic, but still sporting activities like shooting. That was rifles, crossbows, clay pigeon shooting. And what we're starting to see is a kid, now a teenager, who is enjoying being physically active, particularly outdoors. But I still at this point didn't think of myself as being a sporty or particularly athletic person. In fact, around this point, yeah, I had a really, really low self-esteem. Had a very negative opinion about myself. I think there's 2 main reasons for this. Firstly, we brought up football earlier. Now, I was born in 2000, raised in the United Kingdom. Football was, has been, and remains insanely popular in England. Personally, that sport does nothing for me, which is not a dig against any of the professional athletes. I could appreciate and even be amazed by the amount of control and skill and precision that professional football players have over a football, but it just doesn't interest me. Rugby was a sport that really engaged me, but if we had PE, I'd say there was maybe like a 1 in 5 chance that it was going to be rugby. It was way more likely it'd be a football session. We'd predominantly be playing football, and because as a kid, I could see that everybody loved football, praised its players, practically worshipped them like idols. And I saw that being good at swimming, martial arts, basketball, running, archery, golf, hockey, tennis, any other sport you can imagine did not seem to matter compared to the football player. And because I noticed this difference in adoration and fame between, for example, a professional football player and a professional gymnast, I internalized this idea that real athletes play football And if I'm not good at football, then I mustn't be athletic, I mustn't be an athlete, I mustn't be sporty. I wasn't under that impression forever, and that's where we came to the second reason why I had such a low opinion of myself. The second reason why I held a low opinion of myself and my ability would start probably around the age of 12 or 13. So I'd moved past this idea that football was the ultimate sport. I'd realised by this point, no, football is not the be-all and end-all. Fitness can be demonstrated in other sporting activities. What hit me next, which made me think so lowly of myself, was purely aesthetics and visuals. I'm sure any adults watching will be able to remember this terrible thing that happens between leaving childhood and entering your teens, which is suddenly becoming self-conscious and hyper-self-aware. When you were a small kid, you never really judged people, and you never felt like you were being judged physically. I don't think I ever thought about my body or anyone else's body as a kid. But then when you enter your teens, you suddenly become hyper aware of appearances, and you realize that whether or not you care about what other people look like, there are other peers, other teenagers, who seem weirdly invested in what you look like and how you present yourself. And they seem to be just as concerned with how they're presenting themselves and what people think of them, whether that's really insecure bullies or some kid who develops an eating disorder off the back of this super mega over-the-top self-analysis and analysis of others. So in my early teens, I looked around, I started comparing myself to others, I realised I was pretty big, I was pretty round, and as I've described, I enjoyed being physically active, but was I doing it regularly? Did I have a routine? Did I train? Did I know anything about a good diet or maintaining one? No, not at all. Because I was still busy being a kid. I had no deeper knowledge of the world of fitness or what training looked like, what healthy habits looked like. I simply didn't know. In my head, I still enjoyed playing rugby, going for a hike, going for a swim, but all of these activities still felt like playing to me. The actual gravity and importance of what consistent training and exercise could do for my health wasn't something I was fully aware of by this point. So you combine me growing up, being hard on myself throughout childhood, specifically for not being good at football, with me moving past that, but then not knowing how to improve my fitness as a teenager, but realising that other lads around me had become slimmer or leaner or put on muscle, what you ended up with was this little guy who hated himself. He's 14 years old, and he knows he likes being physically active, and because he doesn't look like the other lads who are consistently physically active, and he's not made that connection that it's the consistent activity that's resulted in that body, he begins to detest himself. He starts to believe that there's something wrong with himself and his body. So this is how we end up with me telling myself that I'm not athletic. I end up completely discarding all of the potential that I had so far shown. So what happens next? So around the age of 14 now, I'm in the Air Cadets. Those were some of the best years of my teen life. I started to rediscover and find my self-confidence and become way more accepting of myself. And then around 16, I leave the Air Cadets and I'm leaving high school now to go into college. I'd now become more aware of training and what habits someone has to adopt to improve their health. And it's around this point that I start running regularly, nightly. Now this became a bit of a health concern, because I knew now that I had to not overeat and not snack so often and move my body more, but I hadn't yet learned the importance of rest and recovery. And again, this is all very cardio focused. I've still not learned anything to do with any strength or resistance training. So I end up running nightly. Every night I'm running on aching shin splints. I think I dropped to about 80 something kilograms. I want to say off the top of my head, maybe 85 kilograms, maybe? I was the slimmest I'd ever been in my life, but this was not healthy. It was the result of an obsession. Not an obsession with feeling fitter, but about looking fitter. I was tired all the time, I was exhausted, my mental health wasn't the best, and I was running every night to spend the next day walking on aching legs that really need the rest. So one thing that's been missing throughout this period, beside the lack of rest and recovery, was also a lack of strength and resistance training. That wouldn't enter my life properly until my 20s, but we'll get there later. What's happening at this point is that we're slimming down, we're getting thin, but we're not building any muscle. We're just getting skinnier and skinnier. Here, I want to go on a real quick tangent, just to say, that I wish PE, physical education in school, was more than just, okay lads, we're going to kick a football in the rain for 40 minutes. I wish the education part of physical education was delved into more. I'd love it if, like, in a week it was just alternating where one lesson one day would be purely physical activity, and then the next lesson would flip and be more of a theoretical introduction to health and fitness in a way that taught you how to look after your body, good eating habits. I really wish PE was less about just moving for 40 minutes to an hour and not really knowing why, and more about teaching those kids why it was important that they were keeping themselves active and teaching them ways to look after themselves and further develop themselves so they can go throughout life armed with the knowledge of how to maintain their bodies and prevent themselves from going dangerously underweight or overweight, and just have a good foundation of knowledge on how to look after their health. That's that tangent over, back to my fitness journey. I'm around 18 or 19 at this point. My cardio was fantastic, but we've done nothing to train our muscles in the way of strength and resistance training. Still don't know much about diet and nutrition either, other than to cut out snacking and try to eat a couple hundred calories under maintenance to lose fat. But we became way too focused on how our body looks and not enough on how our body feels. Our priorities were completely out of order. So what happened next? Two things. Firstly, I finally introduced some strength training into my life, and then somewhere around the end of being 19, I went through a breakup. Now, I was really young. I met this person at 16, and being really young and lacking life experience, I fully believed that this person was going to be there throughout my life, and that didn't happen. We don't need to dwell on the topic. And if anyone watching this right now is going through a heartbreak themselves, it doesn't have to be romantic. If you're just going through a hard time right now, for any reason, you're just under emotional stress, whether you're 19, going through it, if you're in your earlier late 20s, 30s onwards, whatever point you're at in your life, you cannot let things like this stop you from living. Because I became a bit of a zombie after that. I felt like I wasn't living anymore. I made a big mistake in letting my life revolve around this person. But you can't guarantee that anyone is going to be beside you until the end. You can have friends, romantic partners, family members of course, but you cannot live for them. You have to live for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you and only you are the sole person who's going to be there with you from the start of your life till the end of your life. Look after yourself, wake up and get out of bed for you. If you're doing everything, or even just one thing, if you're doing something for someone, and then that someone isn't there anymore, then you've lost your reason for doing. You've lost the reason why you were doing that one thing, or even everything, in the first place. So let your own well-being and your own future be your reason. Don't let your life become dependent on someone else's presence. Just be present for yourself, okay? It's a little bit of advice. Sorry to go on that tangent. Where was I? Right, so I made a mistake there, because I ended up retracting from everyone. I stopped doing the things I enjoyed. I stopped engaging with life, and naturally that meant I'd stopped going to the gym, stopped running, I stopped swimming, I wasn't paying attention to what I ate, if I ate. I entered this very numb zombie state. What happened had happened, and in response I wasted 2 years of my life. So 2 years go by, I made the decision to not waste any more time. I finally faced and came to terms with what had happened, and that meant returning to paying attention to my fitness again. So we started swimming more, and we started attending the gym regularly again. Started getting into good shape, but then another problem, another bump in the road came along. I had always safely been in work, I'd always been employed since leaving college, and I'm sure folks are aware that right now trying to find work in the UK is rough as fuck. I made a choice to travel to America and work over there for a summer, twice, And the first time you do that, you come back, you stick it on your CV, and employers love it. They read it and they go, oh my god, this guy's worked in the United States of America. They seem to be amazed by that. But if you go again the next summer and you go twice and you come back and you put that on your CV, there's a big change in attitude. They see that and they read it and it's like, oh, so come summertime, you're just gonna fuck off again across the world. And you can say, no, you've got me wrong. I'm back in the UK, I'm firmly rooted in the UK, and I want to continue working in the UK. I'm not going this summer. And no matter how true that is, they do not believe you. And they just see you as this risk who's going to leave as soon as summertime rolls around again. So to all the young people who are watching, do it. Do Camp America, Camp Canada, Camp Thailand, whatever the scheme is. Go out there, see the world, they're amazing experiences. But if you go and do it once, when you come back, maybe stay here for like a year, just a year, maybe stay around a bit before you go again, if you want to go again. And that will probably look more appetizing to an employer than for you to come back and immediately rock it off again, because that seemed to negatively impact me. But anyway, so I came back. After the second time, I was struggling to find work, I was losing money, and before long, finding a job became my #1 priority. I wasn't thinking about my health and fitness, and because I was losing money, I couldn't even afford to attend the gym anymore. So I started to balloon in size. So we're catching up now. This is just last year. Besides the job hunting stress, we're out of that mental pit we described earlier. We've been out of that for some time now. But physically speaking, we're not doing so good. I managed to land a new job. Now I was chilling. I flew out to Turkey to meet up with one of my best friends and one of the most inspirational people I've had the pleasure of meeting in my life, my good friend Carla. Me and Carla met while we were working together in America, and she has continuously been a strong source of comfort and support for me. Really quickly, I'm going to include a link to her Instagram, by the way, so you want to go and support her in her dream, there'll be a link there. Tell her that I sent you. She's an amazing person. But Carla wants to perform in Cirque du Soleil. And I'm not exaggerating at all when I say she has dedicated her life to this goal. And when she talks about this dream, she doesn't even talk about it like it's a dream. She talks about it like it's certain. She never says, oh, I want to work and perform in Cirque du Soleil. No, she says, I will perform in Cirque du Soleil. I am going to perform in Cirque du Soleil. It's never I want to or I might or I'm thinking of. She looks you dead in the eye and says, I will perform in Cirque du Soleil. It's amazing. She's amazing. So I travelled to Turkey to see her. And you can see in this photo now, I'm 116 kilograms there. Now, this was the heaviest I'd ever been in my life. And you can see in the photo I'm extremely happy. But that's because I'm with one of my most wonderful friends at a wonderful resort, enjoying wonderful drinks with a wonderful beachfront view. But once I was back in my hotel room, back in the mirror, I felt quite ashamed of myself, to be honest, because I'd never felt or looked so big. And this photo, I love it for me and Carla being in it and showcasing our reunion, but it's also kind of ruined for me because I feel this sense of embarrassment even for how big I became. Just to compare here, so that was me at 80 something kilograms to me at 116. So I mentioned earlier about Carla being extremely self-confident and how inspirational she'd been to me. So I'm heading back to the United Kingdom and having caught her sense of determination from her because her confidence is infectious. I tell myself that I'm going to go home, I'm going to get into a healthy routine, I'm going to get to a level of fitness I can be proud of. And as mentioned in the previous video, I wanted to learn to ride a motorbike. I wanted to move out the family home. And since then I've done it. I'm filming this from my apartment. I did move out. We started making those moves. So I came back to the UK. I put the research in. I bought some books, watched some videos, read some articles. And I got myself from 116 kilograms to 104. But then I plateaued. I wasn't getting lower than 104. I wasn't losing any further weight. I wasn't growing any further muscle. I couldn't seem to improve. So at this point, since I had the money to do it, I started working with a PT. And at this point in the story, I want to thank and introduce Aaron Wilson. I go to him and I say, look, my knowledge of exercise and fitness and gym equipment and technique is all super basic, so please just treat me like it's my first time walking into a gym and just explain everything we do, why we do it, so I can become independent and understand how to better look after myself. My goal was to end up below 100 kilograms and get out of the triple digits, and after a couple of months of sessions working with Aaron, I went to Italy to visit some family, and this photo gets taken. This was about 2 months ago now. Now, it's not a great photo quality-wise. It was supposed to be a photo of the cave behind me that we kayaked through, but here in this Bigfoot sighting-esque photo, I was weighing in at 101 kilograms, and I think for maybe the first time in my life, I didn't feel a modicum of embarrassment to be shirtless around people. Aaron, if you happen to watch this, thank you so much for helping me get that far, getting me to a point where I could feel that way. So back to the photo here, if we compare this to my obsessive running days, you can see that these arms are stick thin. They are featureless narrow tubes. But we jump back to here. Now, I'm no Mr. Olympia, but look at my shoulders and my arms. You can actually make out muscles. I'm going to go ahead and post Aaron's socials in the video description if you need not just a PT, but a good PT. I've been extremely satisfied with the sessions he provided, with the explanations he gave me, and all the advice he had for me. Aaron really saw me through and made sure that I left him with a strong foundation of knowledge to continue developing myself. I know a lot of folks tend to have like a visual, appearance-based goal in mind. They tend to want to resemble a particular celebrity's build or a certain fitness influencer's physique, but I don't care all too deeply now about how I look. I mentioned earlier about that transition in your teens where you suddenly become super self-conscious about yourself and how you look and what people think. The good news for any younger people watching is that that does go away. I'm not opposed to people thinking I look more attractive. That's nice to hear, it's certainly a confidence booster, but I accept my appearance as I am. So there isn't really a visual or an aesthetics-based goal here. For me, all this is about now is, in my opinion, the correct order of priority, which is first and foremost, I want to feel good, and then if I look good, that's nice. But I want to feel good. I want to maintain good health. I want my physical performance to improve, and I want to be able to lift heavier and have good control over my body, as well as being able to run faster and further without needing to come to a stop. I did have a numerical goal. I wanted to be under 100 kilograms. But we've already done that now, we've done it. I'm happy to say that for the past few weeks, I've been weighing in at around 98 to 99 kilograms. Just yesterday morning, I measured 98.4, and this morning I was 98.2. So I think I just want to whittle that down further to about 95 kilograms now and just safely, comfortably be under 100. So when I first recorded this, before I realized I had an audio issue, I had gone into the bathroom and took some body measurements that morning. I still have those here. Just know that these were taken yesterday, not today. Not that I think 24 hours will make the biggest difference. But anyway, I think every Sunday I'll try and upload even like a minute-long video just to update you and keep those measurements up to date. Also, these measurements are taken unflexed, relaxed. But if people are curious about what the flexed measurements are, let me know and we can start including those as well. But yesterday morning, here's what we were looking at. So, neck, 46 centimeters, forearms, 27 centimeters, biceps, 33 centimeters, shoulders, 125, chest, 113, waist, 105, hips, 111, thighs, 59, calves, 37. So we'll keep track of those and so they progress. Alright, so continuing with this fitness journey, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to present my progress, because I've thought a lot about setting my phone up in a gym to show you exactly what I'm doing and exactly what my routines consist of, and then you folks can watch and see my technique and even call out or suggest any issues that are sticking out to you that I may not have noticed. However, I really don't like people filming in gyms, and the only people worse than people filming in gyms are hypocrites, right? So I need to think about how I'm going to approach that. My main concern is just catching anyone passing by. So maybe we do film under two conditions. We film in a gym under two conditions. Firstly, I try my best to find an empty or quiet space where it's unlikely anyone gets caught in the footage. And secondly, if somebody does get caught in frame, then I just edit the footage to blur out their face, because that's what I would want. I know that I'm exercising around other people, but me agreeing to be around other members of the public exercising, to me, isn't the same as agreeing to end up on someone's social media post on the internet, presumably forever. I think if I record in the gym, I'm just going to try and do my best to avoid capturing other people. I think is the plan. I don't know, I'll think about it. In the meantime, if anyone wants to see my usual routine and what I regularly do, I do use this great app called LiftOff to track my progress. Here's some important notes about that app. Firstly, I'm not sponsored by these people. To further prove that prior point, these next points are now going to be me talking a bit negatively about LiftOff. Despite me recommending this app, and I do recommend it, there's just some things I want you all to be aware of. So what LiftOff does is that it turns exercise into a ranked competitive game. It has hijacked that gamer brain that likes seeing big numbers get bigger, likes seeing flashy level up screens, and likes watching my username climb a leaderboard. That's all the good stuff, that's why I like it. There's other good points as well, but I don't want to sing their praises for too long. I'm sure the page on the App Store will tell you all the features and information you need to know. But I think it's a lot of fun, and that's the main reason why I recommend it, is that it makes strenuous activity fun. Sometimes it can feel like a chore, sometimes there's certain exercises or routines you dread, and the app, for me, gives me that little serotonin boost that makes it worth it. The bad news of LiftOff, or bad news, is that LiftOff has a free version and a premium version. When you download the app and set up, it'll automatically put you on a trial and then try to take a payment. So, if you just want to track your gym progress, download the app, make the account, immediately go to the settings, and cancel the trial. And there you go, now you're set up on the free version, no costs, no payments, it's just done. So yeah, the app does have premium features, but I'm getting by just fine without it, with the free version. So if you need to save money and you don't want to spend anything, just download it, make the account, settings, and trial done. There you go, you've got it for free. The other unfortunate thing is that LiftOff, kind of in the name, lift, it is very much made with strength and resistance training in mind. You can track cardio activities as well. It's had some updates since, but you may find that in its inbuilt list of exercises, there are some particular machines, equipment, or techniques that are just not listed. I have seen that more cardio exercises have been added to its exercise database, list, whatever you want to call it, collection, catalog, since I first installed it. So they do seem to add things to it, but just be aware that some particular exercises might be missing. With all that being said, I do really like this app, especially to keep updating it to fill in those gaps. I use it every time I go to the gym, every time I do an exercise, and until I reach a decision on how I'm going to showcase on this channel exactly what I'm doing in the gym during my fitness routines, you can follow me there and see a complete breakdown of what I'm doing. You can even copy my routine from my summary post at the end of a workout, copy it, save it, and do my routine if you want to give it a go. I love it. I'll leave a link to it in the description and my details if you want to add me on there. As far as my routines are concerned, I'd been exercising based off a plan designed for me by Aaron initially. Since then, I've tweaked it, but it's all based off the work, like the foundation that he planned for me. There is another routine I've started incorporating, which is more cardio based ever since my ankle recovered. Forget the ankle, that's a long story, we're not going to talk about that in this video. We're at the end now. But this other routine that I've started incorporating was actually made for me by my good mate Owen. And as this video comes to an end, I do want to wrap this up with some thank yous to some people. So firstly, Carla, if you see this, made some notes here, sorry, I don't want to mess this up. Carla, if you see this, thank you for always being so supportive of me. I hope this life brings you nothing but the best. I can't wait to see you perform in Cirque du Soleil. Aaron, you've taken me from being a complete gym novice to a more competent amateur. You've developed a plan that's resulted in me living in a body I'm far more proud to own, and you've gave me the knowledge needed to further develop myself. I can't thank you enough for that. For Owen and Fran, both of these people are both good mates of mine. It's important to note, right, that I am not direct clients of either of these people, but they are my friends, and as my personal mates, they have gave me constant support and advice as I've shifted from treating my health and fitness to a casual affair into now treating it with the discipline and seriousness that it really requires. So Carla, Aaron, Owen and Fran, I've been super lucky to meet you all. These wonderful people's socials are all going to be in my description for this video. So if you want to support an amazing performer, please go and see Carla's account. And if you're in need of a PT to help you reach your own goals, I can personally say that Aaron's got me on the right track, and Fran and Owen have both played a massive part in keeping me on that track. So all of those socials will be in the description of this video. If you're living in the northwest of the UK and you need a personal trainer, I cannot praise these people enough. I really think you won't be disappointed if you go with any one of them. They are very knowledgeable, lovely people. So I hope this video has painted a detailed picture regarding my history of exercise up to this point, and where I want to go with it. I hope I've done a good job at thanking the people responsible for making sure I've made it this far. Next time, I'll give an update on my bodily measurements and what I've been up to. Do check out LiftOff. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, I just really like it. Take care, have a lovely night. Let me know what you thought of this first entry. If there's anything in particular you people want to see, then let me know. And I'll see what I can do for you. Until then, take care, have a good one, I'll see you around. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.